So in this video we're going to be talking about how to replace the felt window guides on your GC or GF Impreza WX STI 93 through 01. The felt guides are what the window runs on when it goes up, and over time, being these cars are 30 years old, you're going to find that it's going to scratch your window because it's down to bare metal. So there are two types. There's this type and then there's this type right here. These don't seem to wear as bad. These seem to wear very hard. Here's the part number for this one, the outers, and then these are the inners. This is my driver's side window. One of the pads was down to bare metal. This is very common on these cars. You have a long scratch that falls all the way down the window, all the way to the top. Now, I did find one video online on YouTube about replacing these. Bucky Lasek made a video about doing this. I believe it was episode 15. I could be wrong there. Either way, he did a video about it, but the thing about his car, he has a coupe. This is a 4-door. I don't see any videos about 4-doors, so I'm going to talk about the differences there. So I did get these from Flareon Tuning. Again, these are almost 30, these are 30 years old. So I would order these sooner than later because, again, once you refresh these, you should be good for the life of the car, I would say. Anyhow, to remove the door, we're going to start front to back. So to remove the door card, at least on the 97 here, you're going to have a screw here in your door, which, if you look at the door card, there's going to be a plastic square that's going to hide that screw. You're going to have that. You're going to pry this window switch. Now, please do not pry from the back because the tab will snap and you'll have to get a new one of these. Again, not an easy part to find. Pry from the front where this little bracket is. Once you pry it out from the front, then you can pull it out from the back. And there's going to be another screw, which is right here, hidden behind that. So 2 Phillips head screws. I apologize, I'm all over the place with this video. Real quick, these are all the tools I'm going to recommend that you use for this. You're going to need a 10 mil ratchet, Phillips head, plastic pry tool, a snake, these little dike cutters, these strippers, these little rivet pop tool, and then a long flathead. Anyhow, back to this. There's going to be another, not a screw, but a plastic little tab here you're going to pop out. And also you're going to have to pop this trim out. So there's a plastic tab on the trim when it sits here like this. You want to pry with the plastic pry tool from here and then gently make your way around the door so that this comes off. Again, it's very old. Can't stress that enough. Once you do that, you should be able to just pull the door card off the little plastic tabs. It should just pop right off, and then you should be able to just pull it straight up because it's going to slide in these little metal guides. Pull it straight up. When you get to this point here, you want to roll the window down. You want the window to be down because you want to have the most room possible. Doing this with the window up is honestly impossible. You have to put the window down. So anyways, this is where the 10 mil comes in. You got this one and this one. This unscrews and it just pulls right out. These are super easy to get out. Super easy. Once you get these out, though, you're able to pull the window back and give yourself enough gap room here. You got one of the these right here. You got one behind here, and then you got another one right here. Now, the easiest way to get these out, I found, is taking the flathead and just prying at the tabs gently. It will just pop, pop, and it will come out. You'll be able to stick your fingers in there and grab it. Same with this one, same thing. Just pop it out, stick your fingers in there. You're going to take your new part, let's pretend this is the new part. You're going to take it and you're going to slide it, push the window back, slide it in, and then get it into position. You're going to want to pop the one tab in, and once you get the one tab popped in enough, you can just take the window and push the force against it, and it will most likely, you'll hear it click itself in. If not, you take your long flathead, just push it against the tab that didn't click in, and just push it until you hear it click. You're going to repeat that process for this one. And then once you get the both back ones in, the front ones just slide right in, you bolt them in, and then after that, you want to test the window. It's important to test the window because you might have to make a slight adjustment. These don't adjust very much in the fronts, and the rears they do. That's where the adjustment is more important. But you want to make sure, though, when you roll the window up, that it rolls up nice and smooth. And then it rolls down nice and easy. If you hear some sort of hesitation, you might have something a little too tight, but generally it should just bolt right in pretty easy on the front ones. The other test I like to do too is take it, roll it all the way down, You want to close the door. Then you want to roll the window up with the door closed and make sure that it lines up at this top gap here. I'll show you what I mean. So I can demonstrate on the dryer door because it's an auto window. So you're going to watch it roll up, and you want to make sure that it rolls up and slides nicely into the rubber here, and you have a nice seal. Something you might have to do if it won't go roll up all the way, like it gets stuck here, maybe there's a gap or something, you want to grease this rubber too because it's old. At least on mine, it's old. It's starting to crack a little bit, so it needs a little grease for it to slide easy. If all that stuff goes well and it all slides up and down nicely, there's no screeching, there's no hesitation or anything, and it slides in the window nicely, you're able to put the door back together and move to the back. This is the part of the video here where things are going to get really tricky. I'm going to highly suggest you get a second person because it's extremely difficult to do with just yourself. So on my car, I don't have rear speakers, which it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it's just the door card looks a little different, as you can see. It just has a straight speaker delete, but you're going to have a little plastic square again. You're going to have another screw behind the door latch again, and you're going to have the one on the trim again. Same thing applies. Pry from the front with the plastic, metal tab here, so it sits like this. Pry from the front, gently pry around the door, and then you're going to have the screw here. And also the screw there once you get this pried up. Same thing, pull the door card off, and this is what you're going to see. The same process as these, unscrew these, they'll slide right out. Now this is where you're going to want to have a second person, trust me. So in the front, you have plenty of room because the window rolls all the way down. The back, as we can see, it's crooked at an angle. It does not go all the way down, and that's where the problem arises. And that's where the difficulty arises too, because you don't have a lot of room to stick your hands in there. I would probably suggest to wear some gloves too, because I definitely fucked my fingers up a bunch, and I actually accidentally scratched the other window a tiny bit, so you do want to be very careful. Anyhow, you're not going to find these in the rear. You're going to find these, at least on my car, this is what I found. Very similar to this setup, except it doesn't have the top on it. It just has this little bottom one. So you're going to have one right here, and then one all the way down here, which already you can see the difficulty. I mean, look how close these two are, and then look how separated these two are. This one is going to be the toughest one. And what I'm going to suggest is you take a snake, you wrap it with tape, and you try your best, that rhymed, try your best to push it against the tab as best as you can. You want to bend it at an angle because, again, you got to remember, you're going to be going in at it like this, and you're going to try to be pushing it. Another tactic that looks really good, works good, you take this, again, put it at the angle because you're going like this, and you're going to try to push it. And trust me, doing these doors, these, you can fly through these in like 15 minutes. This, over an hour it takes. Anyhow, yeah, you're gonna have to use this, the snake, and just a lot of luck. And also, I would suggest grabbing these pair of strippers because you can try to grab them. If they fall in the door, it is not the end of the world if they fall in the door, because all you have to do is take your snake, push it out of this channel, it will fall down here into this open area. You can pry this back, grab it, and you can retrieve it. So let's fast forward now. Let's say you got them all out and you're ready to put the new ones in. Like I said, these are not the same. These are different, completely different. As far as I know, I'm pretty certain this part is discontinued. So what you have to do is you have to take this, and this is where this tool comes into play. They're like little mini Milwaukee strippers. What you're going to do with them is you're going to flip this around and you're going to cut, cut this plastic, basically cut this top felt off completely, like cut it off. Here's the one I had, as you can see, I cut it straight off, the new one I had, and all you're going to be left with is this bottom one and this thin piece of metal here, and you're going to want to trim the thin piece of metal so it's flush. So realistically, you're going to be left with something that looks like this, but it's going to be the brand new one. So just imagine this doesn't exist and you just have this right here. This is what you're looking for. You want it to be like this. You want to chop the back off and you want to trim the metal as flush as you can and just have this right here. Once you get this, this will fit. Do not put it in like this. I repeat, do not put it in looking like this. I made that mistake. It took me forever to get it back out because this puts way too much pressure on the window and it pushes the window way too far out, and it will not seat right on the door. It will not roll up correctly. Just trim it. You have to trim it. Once you trim it, then comes the challenge of getting it back into the channel. This is where you're going to need the second person. So what I would do here is I would take the strippers. Again, let's make believe this is the new one. You're going to go have one person preferably stand on this side of the door like this and hold it by the strippers. You're going to have someone else on this end here push the window and pry this so that you can get space. And you're going to take this with the strippers and you're going to guide it all the way down, just very slowly. You're going to have whoever's with you, your aunt, uncle, your crackhead friend, Jimmy Jr. He's going to pry the window here, and you're going to just move your hand with his hand and slide it all the way down till you get into the position where you want to be. Now, when you get here, this is where things get hairy. You have to try to line it up with the tab, and once you line it up with the tab holes in the back, you just really have to shove your hand there, or shove, say, the flathead in there, or the rivet tool, and you have to at least try to pop one of the tabs if you can. You just have to finesse it. I mean, then you can take the window, like the fronts, and you can push it to give it pressure to pop it in. This one, I'm telling you, this one in the back is really going to be, that's where most of your time is going to be spent. This one sucks too. This one also sucks, but this one is the shittiest one. It is so far back, and again, there's no videos that explain this online, so that is what you have to do. I'm telling you, take these, guide it through very gently too, very gently, because you don't want to scratch your glass. Maybe you want to wrap this in electrical tape or something, and also you might have to get strippers that open wider. As we can see, these ones only open that wide. I have this pair here that opens a little wider. So, see the difference? Again, you gotta grab it, you gotta guide it, you gotta bring it through. And the same falls on that one. And you want to have someone else. I'm telling you, you want to have a second person, because you only have two hands. You know what I mean? You can't pry the glass and guide it and put, like, it's a night and day having a second person. All right, let's fast forward. Let's say you got the two back ones in. That's great. Now you're going to put these in. Easy peasy, you know what I mean? But you got to also take into consideration the adjustment on these ones. So you have some adjustment. With these ones, you want to push them as far as you can and get the screw in, you know, push the bracket and screw this and push it as far as you can in against the glass. So push it in as far as you can. Not too hard though, because you don't want to make it so hard that the pressure is too much, you know what I mean? As we can see here, you see the gap that I have right here? That's where I have it set. Here's this one. See how the gap is much bigger on this like exposed metal? This one's just going to sit right in, and you're just going to let it slide all the way back and kind of just sit this one. This is the one you want to put pressure, because you got to understand, when this window comes up, it's going up at a weird angle like this, and you want to push the window out so that it slides nicely into the channel, which I will demonstrate. Just for simplicity, I'm going to do it on this window right here. So watch as it goes up. See how it slides up and into the rubber nicely. Then goes down. Again, it goes at that weird angle. But again, if you put the other ones in, it's going to push this window when it rolls up. It's going to push into the car like this, and it's going to start to try to ride up on it way too early. It needs to ride up at the certain point. It needs to hit about there. You want to be about there is when the glass and the window and the rubber is starting to, because it's already starting to ride a little bit there, if we can see that. But then that's where it starts to flatten out, you know what I mean? And again, you got to put that grease on, because the grease is going to make it sit nice and flush around the window there, and it's going to sit nicely. If you don't put the grease, it's not going to sit nicely. Just like that. And again, the windows aren't working as well because I just have an accessory. I don't have the car actually on all the way. If I had the car on all the way, that'd be a different story. It'd be a little more powerful. But That is how it is done, though. That is how it is done. It is, and again, putting the door card on, just reverse the process, make sure it clips in. And again, test the window opening and closing a couple times, and then close the door, and then test it closing. The closing the door and then testing it going up is probably the most important one, because that is going to determine, because you're not driving with the door open. You're not going to stop, open the door, roll the window down, close the door. You're going to be driving. You're going to have the window go down, and then when you're done, you're going to have the window go up. You're not going to open the door to have the window go up. So you got to make sure when it's closed, it's going to ride nicely on the rubber, because if you don't do that, you're going to break your window possibly, and it's going to go in jagged, and it's not going to sit right. But that's my tips and tricks video, basically, on this subject matter. One thing I will say is that you can take this off. You usually don't have to, but if you're getting a little snagged up, you might have to take this off. It's just 1, 2, 3, and it pops out, this little plastic trim. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, definitely I would say wear gloves, because the windows are going to get super grimy, and you're going to get your fingers all grimy, and they're going to be rubbing all over the window, especially if they're all worn down to bare metal like this. Mine were kind of rusty crusty, and I got some rust on the window. But yeah, I figured I'd just make a nice video. Again, Bucky made the video. He has a coupe. This is a 4-door, so it's a little more of a process to do the rear doors. If it was just a coupe, I mean, it's a breeze. It really is. The front doors are so easy. The fronts are the easiest ones. So if you want to save yourself some aggravation, get the rears out of the way, because the fronts, you're just going to breeze through them like nothing. But I hope you like this video, and let me know if there's any other videos I'm going to make about this, or just any other thing that I might have done maybe.